Life's lessons in one movie. When I first saw this movie, I didn't appreciate it like I do now. I think it may have been because I was so young when I first saw it. Just recently I saw the movie again. What an amazing story and moving meaning. That movie teaches you so much about life and the meaning of it. That life isn't as bad as most people make it seem. That an innocent man can impact so many lives with his innocence. The meaning of the movie to me is that everyone needs to have a better outlook on life. That we need to appreciate more of the little things and not let the big things hold us back. That truly, although life may throw us trials and tribulations like a box of chocolates, but that we have to just bite into it and get through it even if we don't like it. That we all need to hold true to our values and not sink into a place that feels like there's no hope. I just love this movie. And anyone who hasn't seen it or who thinks that don't like it, I seriously suggest seeing it or seeing it again. It truly is amazing. In my opinion, no film has touched me more than this one. Quite simply, the greatest film ever made. Humor, sadness, action, drama, and a Vietnam film all rolled into one. I'm not a stone-cold, heartless villain, but it takes a lot to make me cry when I watch a movie. Bambi's mother, I couldn't care less. Jimmy Stewart in Oh, What a Wonderful Life, yeah right. The Lion King, when Mufasa bites the big one, on The Verge. But seriously, I bawled my big brown eyes out, on several occasions in this film. A real tearjerker, and a wonderful character, played to perfection by Tom Hanks. Every bit as worthy for the Oscar as Rooney was to win the premiership in 2007. I cannot say it enough, this is the film of all time. Watch it, and you'll see. The Zen of Forrest Gump. This is a powerful yet charming movie, fun for its special effects and profound in how it keeps you thinking long after it's over. Like others, I've seen this movie more than once. One comment I've never heard is that Forrest's simplicity is almost Zen-like. I should read the novel to get the author's intention. I remember some people preferring the book and complaining that no one at the Academy Awards gave him any credit, but rather than an implication that you should do what you're supposed to do and believe in God and you'll win in the end, I see it as Zen-like, i.e., living in the moment and not having expectations or particular cravings, other than his loving Jenny, so he ends up just stumbling into all the major historical events of the time. Granted, he achieves this only because he doesn't have the brains to think otherwise and actually have expectations, but so many of our problems are because we do have higher intellect and desires, which ironically makes us unhappy because we know what we are missing. We love our cats and dogs for the same simplicity and always being in the moment. There's a line in the movie wondering if everything is predestined or happens randomly or it's a combination of both. It is something to mull over for a long time. Pathetic. This is one of the worst movies of all time. It is nothing more than an expensive, intricate jigsaw puzzle and none of the characters have redeeming value with the possible exception of Forrest's mother. His love interest Jenny is a vile human being and at no time did I want Forrest to end up with her. The off-putting message is in fact that you can be an idiot and be successful, and in fact suggests that it might be better to be so. The idea that skills that many people find so difficult to master all come so easily to a simpleton like Forrest is offensive. Its saving grace is that the book is even worse. I don't understand what people love about this movie, which is vastly overrated. Purity and innocence retained. I have seen this movie easily a half a dozen times, and I find that the beauty of the film is how Forrest Gump not only shares his innocence and purity with others, including the audience, he also manages to retain that innocence and purity through some very difficult times. As a Vietnam veteran, and a college graduate of the late 60s, I could of course personally relate to the various periods that Forrest Gump endures. I would only mention that the skillful and seamless blending of music, action, and period costume was enthralling. And yet it was so perfectly understated that Forrest Gump's travels through 35 years of the stormiest and most meaningful years of American history only became clearly defined for the viewer. Even more so than the well-known chocolates quote as a metaphor for life, I felt that the remark that stupid is what you do is probably more workable for most of us. Forrest Gump is a movie masterpiece that won't be forgotten and will continue to inspire. He may have been good in Philadelphia but be as excellent in Forrest Gump. Tom Hanks delivers another great performance in his career by portraying the lovable, king yet not so intelligent character Forrest Gump. It is also Tom Hanks' second straight win for the Best Actor Oscar, which he becomes the second man to do said accomplishment after Spencer Tracy. Whilst not as dramatic as Philadelphia, Tom Hanks' performance is just as great in this movie, and this movie could possibly be the film of Tom Hanks' career, as he used to be a comedy guy who turned to drama in a way which would pave for future stars such as Jim Carrey, The Truman Show, Reese Witherspoon, Walk the Line, and Will Ferrell, Stranger Than Fiction, to name a few. Also starring in this great movie classic are Robin Wright-Penn, who plays Jenny, Gary Sinise, who was nominated for an Academy Award for his portrayal of Lieutenant Dan Taylor, Michael T. Williamson as Forrest's best friend, and Shrimper Benjamin Buford Bubba Blue, and Sally Field as Mrs. Gump. This film was nominated for a total of 13 Academy Awards but won 6 of them, which include Best Film Editing, Best Visual Effects, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Picture, Best Director Robert Zemeckis, and Best Actor Tom Hanks. This is one masterpiece of a movie that will not be forgotten about in a long time. Bravo! Neither is good or is bad. People seem of two minds about this film, it either moves them to tears or to nausea. But in reality, it is a well-made film with some strong performances, but not more than that. The core of this movie that is as simple-minded as the title character, the facile speciousness of the movie's reactionary attacks on matters I agreed with, made me realize just how shallow the movie's entire argument is. But beyond that, the movie is very well made. Hanks's performance could have been annoying in other hands but works well here. Sinise was excellent as well. Robin Wright's performance was adequate. I try not to blame her for the movie's implied argument that the social movements of the 60s and 70s were a working out of childhood neuroses, but never really stuck to me. The technical aspects of the film are outstanding, and the movie has a lot of laughs and tears despite its empty-headed core. If it helps anyone, this is my wife's favorite movie. But then, she fell asleep during Casablanca, so. One of the most overrated films of all time. This has to be one of the most overrated films of all time. I expected the film to be stupid, which it was, but I didn't expect it to be incredibly boring also. I couldn't even get through the video in one night. I was so bored I had to stop watching it and finish it the next night. Its winning the Oscar for Best Picture crystallized the opinion that I have been forming for several years, that the opinion of the Academy is pretty meaningless. One of the best films of the 90s. Winston Groom's Forrest Gump was a novel that was complicated, but, Oscar-winning, director Robert Zemeckis brings events together with visual effects that boggle even George Lucas. And leading the film in this odyssey of American life is Tom Hanks playing Gump. He won his second Oscar for his portrayal, in a film that shows one man who goes through many events in history to find the one he loves. Well done, well acted, and well directed to Pythagorean precision. A++. Real message. My friend suggested me to watch this movie. I didn't expect anything out of it, just wanted to pass some time. After the movie ended, I felt like I had never seen anything like this before. It even made me write a review. Such a beautifully made movie, has got everything. Teaches you about the power of love and innocence. Sometimes we take our life as granted and all we think is we don't have anything. This movie tells you how to realize and work with all that you have, no matter how you are. Brilliant way of telling a story of a young boy Forrest and his life. Not only through the eye of Forrest, but a mother, a friend and general people. The way your innocence wins over anyone you come across is exceptional, and all you will leave behind is love and respect. Magnificent movie. A man with a mental disability lives through and takes part in many points of history. Without a doubt one of the greatest films ever to be shown on the silver screen, and only solidified by a stellar performance by the cast and crew. One of the few films everyone can say they have at least seen once. This movie deserved every Oscar it won and will go down in history as one of the best and well-done films ever to be created. Many can say that this film does have some very minor issues, things such as the questionable moral depicted by the love interest, Jenny, throughout the course of the entire film. Some could take umbrage with the less than amazing special effects, though the time of production should be added into context. Dropping my keys. I remember John Byner, the stand-up comic and impressionist of the 1970s, talking about guys crying at movies, how it's not an acceptable behavior. He advised the men in his audience to drop their keys, do something that gets them to lean forward, wipe their faces, and get things under control. I dropped my keys watching Forrest Gump. Lieutenant Dan comes over the hill at Forrest and Jenny's wedding, new legs, fiancé at his side, clean cut and happy. Forrest states the obvious, "Lieutenant Dan, you got legs." And the waterworks just started to flow. I sit up straight and clear my throat. Got 'em, the keys, that is. My wife leans over and gives me a kiss. She says, "That's why I love you." Other than a few historical fussinesses and plot slickeries, none of which are worth mentioning, this is as close to a perfect, emotionally satisfying entertainment as I have ever seen. I love this movie. I never tire of the simple story of the guy with the lowest IQ in the room being the smartest guy in the room. It's filled with a patriotic decency you can only find in The Wizard of Oz and To Kill a Mockingbird. When Dorothy is aching for home and the wizard can't deliver, I drop my keys. When Scout points to the man behind Jem's bedroom door and says, "Hey, boo," the fob goes flying. The next time I get out my copy to show to my 11th grade US history kids, I'll start fingering my keychain. I can't help it.